So, hello everyone. Hello. Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We are here to practice tapping into presence, the presence that's always here, but so easy to forget about. We'll slide right into movement and make sure you have what you need to be on the ground comfortably. This carpet is not too thick, it's on a tile floor, but it's enough for a few minutes movement. It's enough softness, but you don't want to be too soft like a bed or a couch might be. But those can work. Those can work, but um, the sort of solid surface, sort of more solid. There's a range, right? It could be like concrete. Wood is a little softer than concrete. Cork is softer than concrete. But this even surface and good hardness provides a feedback for us. And we're sort of listening to those quieter things, the meeker. We'll move a little bit on our backs, and then you can choose to do the stillness practice there on your back or roll to your side, or you can come up to sitting. So have what you need to support your seated stillness. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. So I'm going to read a poem as you lie down on your back. I read this at movement practice this week. It's a poem that Jackie sent my way. And it beautifully resonates if you would just listen to it open-mindedly, open-heartedly, feeling it as if listening with your cells, not just your ear mechanism. Green Canoe by Jeffrey Harrison. I don't often get the chance any longer to go out alone in the green canoe. And lying in the bottom of the boat, just drift where the breeze takes me, down to the other end of the lake, or onto some cove without my knowing, because I can't see anything over the gunwales, but the sky as I lie there, feeling the ribs of the boat as my own, this floating pod with a body inside. Also a mind that drifts among the clouds and the sounds that carry over water, the flutter of birdsong, a screen door slamming shut, as well as the usual stuff that clutters it, but slowed down, opened up, like the fluff of milkweed tugged from its husk and floating over the lake, to be mistaken for mayflies at dusk by feeding trout, or be carried away to a place where the seeds might sprout. Again, a poem that so many do, beautifully encapsulates this practice. So let's take this time to lie down. You can have knees bent or legs straight if you like. I'm going to join you, and I hope you can hear me still. I'll check on that there's no other chat coming in. Arrive. If you are already lying down, you've done some of the steps of arriving. And perhaps when you've been here for a few moments and your knees were bent, and then you might decide, well, I think I'd like my legs to go straight. Let's try that. Or the vice versa. And as we are here on the ground, letting ourselves be supported by this, perhaps this image of this canoe, although it would be a little different, wouldn't it be? There would be some rocking, perhaps. And take some time. We'll take a handful of breaths to really fully sense our presence through the body. through this force of gravity that's holding us here, the force of earth that's part of that holding, part of that hug. And that while we're moving towards stillness, we are breathing. And just stay where you are. I decided I'm going to shift to be sitting and narrate this for you. So breathing, breathing, and allow yourself to sense the slight movement of the body and a sort of almost as if you could sense the movement of gravity coming through you. The movement of gravity. And you'll notice, like the person in the canoe, that there are sounds coming to you. I hear birdsong too here. I hear a dehumidifier going November, and it's really humid and warm, as well as the usual stuff that clutters it, the usual stuff that clutters it. But slowed down, opened up, slowed down, opened up. And when you're ready, just lift your right shoulder as if to peel the right corner of your torso up away from the where it is and back toward the sky and back down. Fully rest. And this can be the tiniest movement or it can be a bigger movement. If the right shoulder pulls forward with respect to your body and then releases back down. Just continue that with a generous pause, possibly at the top of the lift. And then as you let go, just plop, let it move back toward the ground. And observing what has to happen through the body, what happens, what cooperates, what initiates, what helps to make this lift happen. Does something in the middle back or spine happen? Something in the core of your belly, upper or lower belly happen? Continuing, pausing if you need, looking for what's the lightest, easiest, most effortless way to do this. It's a simple thing, but once we watch this small movement so closely, we see that sometimes you can tell there's an awful lot of effort involved, an awful lot. And each repetition is an opportunity to do something with a little more wisdom from the accumulated knowledge of the previous repetitions. Not simply a whirring of the blender again, but an informed action. And I keep forgetting this, and thus I share it with you to try to remember it myself. As you find whatever you find, both good and bad, ugly, the good, bad, and the ugly, the wonderful, the joyous, the peaceful, the frustrating. Hello, dear one. Hello. Hello. I'd forgotten that a few weeks. All right, let it go. Just be still. Allow ourselves to release into the more yin, to be held, to be passive, to be still. The undoing. There's this phrase, as I've considered all the things that draw us to quiet. The phrase, the meek shall inherit the earth, from I think it's one of the Gospels, Matthew maybe, in the Christian Bible. Last week I questioned this idea of one of my teachers put forth, that the quiet, the absolute, the what I call the awareness, is never insists, never demands our attention. And yet I find that in some ways, how loud, how fully, if we're paying attention, and even when we're not, how we're caught by these drops of exquisite beauty or love or peace, like in a sunset, or a poignant moment of connection, of deep suffering or coming out of suffering, birth, death, big things, but also just there's some crepe myrtles I walk by on our dog walks, and they're such this brilliant, fiery, reddish, yellowish color, and I'm stopped. I'm stopped by that silent beauty. Okay, now same shoulder, pull it away from the sky down toward the ground in your lying down position, toward the back of you, and then release. Just let it pop back up to wherever it pops back up to. And pull it back, release, pausing, listening with all the senses, breathing, in some way relating this message of to each thing that comes to your awareness, the particular shape of the movement, the particular effort, the neck's involvement, the tongue's involvement. Hello, dear one. Hello, dear one. Dearest one, perhaps, our closest to ourself, parts of ourself. And then let that go. And as we pause here, taking this scenic inner look, what's here? What is different that's here? Our mind is so good at this. And of the many things, of the many ways our patterns of our mind can foil us, get us in trouble, cause us suffering, we can use all those same patterns and tools for unsuffering, for releasing the suffering. And so this noticing, what's new? Perhaps it's something difficult, or perhaps it's something easy, and there's probably more than two somethings. Linger with any of them that visit you. And then let's take the same shoulder, this time drag it a little toward the ear, and then let it return to where it started. Drag it a little toward the ear and let it go. And I'm doing this from a seated position, but I highly recommend the lying down. It's a different set of learning, the different mechanisms at work. And let's shift to, instead of just letting go back to neutral where we came from, pull the shoulder down away from the ear, and then slowly coming through that starting point up toward the ear. Pause a moment, slowly move through this. It's kind of an arc of movement back through the starting point and ending point and down away from the ear. And just letting yourself also notice the peripheral, what's happening at the other shoulder, the shoulder blades, the ribs, the spine. And feel free to let this get like a smaller range of movement. Do something a little different. Maybe go fast, go really fast, go a little bit faster. Go forward and back again instead of up and down. All right, let it go, let it go. because this is a short practice, we're just going to leave this here. There's a lot more we could do, but notice how listen and feel and see and taste and intuit what is new here, what's different than I guess 8 minutes ago when we started this or so. And just slide yourself, whether it's up to seated or right where you are, maybe change leg positions, change arm, change head position. Slide yourself toward where we will be together in a still place. Maybe, maybe sensing where you're if you're sitting, where your bottom is, where your pelvis is, your legs, your feet, your spine, your shoulders, just arranging every part, tending to the posture. And if you're lying down, maybe simpler in some ways, maybe lighter. Being fussy, but not overly fussy. And just as we arrived together earlier, feeling the floor through our backs, through our bodies, we can take this same practice here, and we get better and better and better at this. We allow a little of our attention to be dedicated to noticing, enjoying the breath, and then noticing all that's coming and going. Sounds, thoughts, the temperature of the air on skin, and then making a commitment to stillness for about the next 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. Allowing the meek, the quiet, the spacious, the passive, the dark, all these and aspects of ourself, our experience that are receptive. And beyond all the manifest items, everything we can know, touch, observe, the absolute, the ultimate receptive, but also that which brings everything forth. Eyes, sinuses, mouth, just a touch of attention to any of these. creates that visit, that meeting, dear one, and perhaps allows a fulfilling, releasing, cherishing. The fluff of milkweed. Remembering to enjoy, remembering less effort, light attention, less effort. Frontiers that we touch into may have bits of vulnerability, of meekness. And we can meet that more and more lightly, easily, kindly, because of our practice of sensing that ground and support and center and breath are all here. All here. A few more breaths. And just somewhere in the next 5 or 6 breaths, you decide when you're ready to mark the end of this practice by bringing the palms together in front of the heart, bowing to ourselves, to our hearts, to each other, to all. And from this quiet trip in the green canoe, those seeds might be carried away to where they might sprout. Thank you for joining with me in this practice that helps us be in the flow of things. I'll see you next week. And check sunandmoonstudio.com frequently for ways to be supported and to be part of our community. Thank you, Mary Beth. Ciao, ciao.